And we're back with graphics and technicalities. Um, Again, not a lot of good to say. What am I saying? There's no good to say.
There's no good to say.
And
No good at all.
yeah, I mean, if you want to stop listening, now is as good time as ever. If this offends you, if this is wrong in
I
your
don't think
household,
anyone is happy with the graphics in this game. I don't think anyone
buddy,
is.
buddy, you will be surprised. There's a lot of brain dead normies out there who love this game. I'm sorry, it's all right. But
Like, there's
yeah,
no way you can prefer this over like Arkham City, Asylum, or Night.
honestly,
Like,
you have to genuinely have like assholes for eyes or some shit to like this game.
Well, I'm glad we're associating to every single person in our audience. So, people with assholes for eyes, we're actually opening a charity for people like yourselves. Please donate.
Uh, yeah, we're gonna have a fundraiser run as well. It's gonna be the run for assholes for eyes people.
AFA.
AFA. If you idiot.
Alpha. I fuck
If
my eyes up.
that's what Origins does.
Uh,
And yeah, Danny, you want to start us off? You wanna
um,
talk about what you love, hate,
oh yeah,
hate to love, love to hate. Let me finish. Love, hate, hate, love, and
what's
love to hate about this game. Those are graphics and technicalities. Yeah, I'm
yes.
done.
Well, here's what I love. Great,
to
let's move
hate?
on to what I don't love. All right. So one of my biggest gripes with this game is the battle damage. Um,
Yeah.
so the cape specifically, someone went to paint and they got the eraser and they removed an exact. They like when you've got like the circle function
Yeah,
selected
yeah.
for the eraser. They like pressed it and then they put that forward. So they've got like this perfectly symmetrical circle on this cape for some godforsaken reason. Um,
Goddamn magic bullets, am I right?
yeah. And by the end of the game, you've got all these holes in your cape.
Perfectly
And I'm
symmetrical.
sorry, there's no way that you can fly.
Magic, it's magic, man.
Yeah, it's
It's
magic.
Batman. Man, he does what he wants.
But yeah, anyway, that's my main gripe. That just annoyed me quite a lot. So, yeah.
Well, I think you can relate to this one. It has worse than DBD hitboxes.
Yeah, DBD being Dead by Daylight, by the way. So hitboxes are really bad. So one guy can be standing in a diamond district and they'll hit you while you're in Park Row. And that's probably not.
Okay, here's
Oh
here's here's the
god.
realistic implication of what we're saying, right? Um, the game is broken sometimes with combat because like you get punched out of nowhere and you hit counter as well. And you're like, wait, where and how did that hit me? And sometimes you're punching people and the punches don't connect as well because it's like again, that person doesn't exist or something's wrong with it. It's just way more broken than any of the other games. It's a more do by feel by doing type of thing more than us explaining it. But yeah, there's that. Blurry textures. Jeez, who would expect the newer game to have worse textures? Am I right, Ajmin? Like,
Exactly. I sometimes feel like slamming my laptop shut. Like, sometimes legitimately felt like slamming my laptop shut while playing Origins because of how horrible the textures were in many places. It was super blurry in places that should not be blurred out. Like, how it's a newer game, it should not be so poorly like made to look like the graphics should not look this poor.
yeah,
Arkham City came out 2 years earlier. It looks gorgeous. Like, if you bump up the settings, if you bump it up and have everything on high with a good resolution, the game looks gorgeous.
yeah, and
It's
there's
breathtaking.
there's so much wrong like when you jump from city to Origins, right?
Origins.
Like in
And it's the
city,
complete opposite
huh,
of breathtaking in Origins.
exactly, exactly. Like the worst part, like one gripe that I had was like,
damn
you
it.
know, in city, like everything's clear, right? It's well defined. Like even though some areas probably aren't rendered, it's defined, right? You can see everything clearly. But in Origins has this weird ass mist in the whole map. You know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about,
yeah.
right? It's just like we get it. It's snowy, but even in Arkham City, like it's cold, right? And like there's no mist. You know, you don't use a bloody gray like half alpha channel like transparency layer on like the entire map to give it a snow effect. God, that's lazy. So lazy. But yeah, the constant
Yeah,
mist was very annoying graphically.
Constant and consistent across the entire map.
Yes, yes, yes. One of the few things that they managed to do consistently. That and make sure that the game was utter shit.
Yeah, they did a
Um,
great job at that.
yeah, there was also some very lazy bloody animations. Um, trying to think of some here. I mean, obviously, the laziest part about the animations is the fact that they're all copy pasted.
Yeah, exactly. I think that
yeah.
was kind of the.
Nothing new. Like, is there anything new when it comes to the animations in
There's
Origins?
some new combat moves in there, but there's not a lot, and they don't really look that good.
It's like from old to new combat animations is probably like a 3-to-1 ratio. I'm guessing. No, probably even higher, right? Or
Mm.
like a 10-to-1.
Like,
Yeah,
yeah, and like Arkham City from Asylum to City had like a city had so many new animations. Like it was a
Yeah.
very different looking set of animations for City, and from City to Night, like Night is It's so different. Like Night has some similarities, that is true, but overall they had to revamp so many of the animations.
I
But
mean,
in
yeah, that's
Origins,
just
for
Rocksteady, man. That's just Rocksteady.
yeah, but Origins was like, I don't think people will notice it if we copied 95% of the things from City. Let's just do that. No one's gonna notice that. People are too busy looking at Joker, maybe, or something. Like, that's the mentality of Montreal. They're like, oh, they're always gonna be busy looking at Batman and Joker. They're not gonna pay attention to the fact that everything that's in the animation sector is reused from Arkham City.
True.
Yeah.
True. But I mean, like just graphically, there was so much. There's a lot more left to like gripe about. We're not done. Yeah, we're not done. Just thinking of something.
the
Um,
cryptographic sequencer.
yes, yes, that bloody thing. You know how like in Arkham City and Arkham Asylum, you know how it's contrasty and like you can properly see what the bloody hell is going on with the screen, right? And with Origins, it's like you actually have to bloody squint and like you probably have to have like an eye workout to like see what the bloody hell is going on with it.
It's white on light blue, isn't it? And the middle bit is white on white.
It's like a bloody baby took a crayon to a paper or some shit.
Yeah, you think?
Actually, no, a baby taking a crayon to a paper would be contrasty. This isn't.
Yeah.
This is like
I
a
mean, what baby likes white crayons?
pretty dumb one by the looks of
Yeah.
it. But yeah, it's just I like using the cryptographic sequencer, as it is a tiresome gadget. And when it looks shit as well, it's even more tiresome, right? Like just so much wrong with it, man. And yeah, inconsistent FPS was something that we ran into a lot as well. And just to give you a hardware standpoint here, this is a bit of a flex, but I have to mention my specs, right? So I'm running an Omen 15 laptop. It's an i7 9th gen chip with an RTX card, an RTX 2070 Max Q. For those of you who know what that means, you know what it means. For those of you that don't, it's expensive. It runs games well. Um, and this laptop can very easily run AAA titles smoothly. And I mean, in comparison, in the Arkhamverse, this laptop runs Arkham Knight at 90 FPS with barely any problems. Right? And Arkham Knight is crazy. It's such a beautiful game. Which obviously means it's going to be more demanding. And mind you, I don't run Arkham Knight on anything other than Ultra, everything maxed out, and it still runs at 90. This godforsaken, shitty excuse of a bloody game runs it like what? Sometimes I get 144, sometimes I get 70, sometimes I get 20, sometimes I get 50, then it goes back to 25. Bro, like, I've had exes who've had like more stabler mood swings than this game with its FPS variation.
Yeah.
It's just you can't play a game like that when you have shitty, inconsistent FPS. I get it if I was gaming on a brick, but I'm not. Did I rant there? I really ranted there, didn't I? Yeah.
I, for one, like, for the FPS, that is, it was a bit of a tough scenario. Like, I had to tone up some of the settings and tone down some of them. I had to experiment a lot with it, and I could get like a 60 hertz, like 60 FPS with VSync on because my laptop screen is only supports 60. So if I didn't have VSync on, I would have a lot of screen tearing. But even with that, like, it wasn't consistent. There were always a frame drop. There were always frame drops, and like, you would argue that, oh, you know what, maybe your graphics card is becoming too old. People would say that, but here's a bombshell for those people. Doom came out in 2016, and that game runs at 60 hertz, like 60 frames per second, a consistent 60 frames per second on my laptop at decent settings. That's something that Origins can't even do, and it came out 3 years earlier on the same graphics card. So it's not the problem with my graphics card, it's how bad the optimization is for PC
Yeah,
for this
100%.
game.
Because I remember we were griping about Arkham City having problems with like very very like ever so often having a frame drop every now and then. I remember mentioning this, right? And honestly, I feel like I gave Arkham City too much shit for that. Because like,
Yeah,
goddamn,
I know. Because we were trying to think of
yeah, we were
graphical /
inconsistencies.
technical inconsistencies, and that, man, Origins just gave it that to us on a platter.
Yeah, like when we don't even have, honest to God, we have too many things, if anything, right?
Yeah.
And like it's like it really says something when an older game runs more stabler on on graphics cards with architectures that weren't even thought of back then, right? Because like the type of hardware that I'm running my games on, a 2009 and 2011 developer wouldn't have even expected that type of shit to be out.
Yeah, exactly.
And yet those games run almost perfectly. I get like one frame drop every 2 hours and that's it. Right? Smooth gameplay. There's no tearing. There's no stutters. It's smooth. It's butter. And then there's Arkham Origins. Utter shite. Just disappointing. Like, like if I didn't know about tech, I genuinely think there was something wrong with my laptop, man. Like, come on, there's no excuse for it. But yeah, I'm done with the rant. I'm done.
Your
rest is all yours.
scenario is a bit different. Like, RTX cards are not supported for these games. But that being said, if you had like, even if you toned down if you had toned down your games, it probably would have given you a consistent FPS. But still, you would have those fluctuations, right?
And I mean,
even if you,
Ajman, if I'm paying like $30-$40 to buy a game with DLC and shit, I'm not paying that amount to run it at a lower res or a lower frame rate. I
True.
paid top dollar for DLC. I supported the game when I could have probably cracked it, and I think that goes along with me being able to run that game at the settings that I want to run it at. I mean, call me entitled,
like
call me what you
a
want,
thing.
but it's fair. It's only fair, right? I mean,
Like, I'm just trying to sound just. Like, you said how Arkham Knight also had some issues with the frame drops.
Yeah.
Occasionally.
Again, just like City, ever so rarely I get a frame drop.
Yeah. So it that didn't have, like, City for me on my GTX 1050. I never had a frame drop. Like, maybe it was an old graphics card and the game was more suited for that, but that's the scenario with PC gaming. You would agree with that, right?
100%.
Like newer
100%.
games, like older games,
run better on older
tend to
cards.
have-
Obviously, I agree with that all the way, Ashwin. It's just Origins. It like from what I feel, Origins goes out of the way to be buggy.
Yeah, it definitely feels that way. I mean, none of the other games have such consistency with bugs, to be honest. I mean, we're not talking about bugs right now, but
But it's technicalities, right? It's
Yeah.
optimization.
Yeah,
Optimization is a technicality. But yeah, I'm done with my rant. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
You're welcome.
Well, Danny, do you have anything good to say about this shit shack of a game?
So I must say, I mean, I think we can all agree on this when I say that the pre-rendered cutscenes were fantastic.
Yes.
Oh my god, they looked good. But so did cities. And so did asylums. Night didn't use any, but my point is, Origins actually looked good
In the pre-rendered cutscenes.
until you went back to the main game. Again, I can't endorse the pre-rendered cutscenes enough. The mix of music and the just the lighting, the atmosphere, the dialogue, everything like that was fantastic. But when you went back to the bland setting of the in-game cutscenes, or just playing the game, it's so depressing to go from one a beautiful thing to another. The contrast is so vast. It's ridiculous and annoying, to be honest.
Oh, well, what to do? There's a few more graphical problems that I just remembered actually. Um, Again, I probably won't be able to put this in the video as I talk about it right now, but I have the footage, so any of y'all that want to actually have proof on what I'm talking about, just drop us a comment and I will send it to you. We had a lot of animations problems. For example, like you know how you have breakable walls, right, in
Yeah,
Predator maps?
yeah.
I think you know what I'm talking about, right? So you know how you have breakable walls in Predator maps, right? You can punch those walls and stuff. Like you had those walls in City, where you could just punch it and it breaks nicely. The animation is nice. In Origins, you punch the bloody wall. The very next frame, the wall's on the floor.
Yeah, yeah,
The
that's right.
very
Yeah.
next frame, and I know this because I went frame by frame when I was reviewing that because I recorded the footage in 60 FPS and I was reviewing it, and yeah, it was just like punch, just punch and that was it. That was
No debris,
no debris at all.
no
Fuck no.
no dust from this, nothing like
Particles?
that.
What? No.
Particles, never heard of them. But like you punch it, immediate next frame, gone. The entire asset disappeared. And speaking of breakable walls, the wooden walls that you'd have in Arkham City, which you could punch through, you could glide through, you could line launch it through. Now, what W Montreal does is they took that texture and they put it on the explosive walls. And they took the explosive wall textures and they put it on the wooden walls. So basically, you had to
Yeah.
explode
Oh
a
shit,
wooden
that's
wall.
so stupid.
But you can kick
explosive
through.
jar, but you can kick through stone. Evidently, Batman is a little pussy when he wants to be, and he's also fucking Chad when he wants to be. So,
Like, yeah, Batman can't punch through wood at this point. Like, he's too weak. He can fight Bane. He can fight Bane. He can fight Killer Croc. He can fight Deathstroke, but he can't punch through wooden walls.
obviously not. um,
I was like, I had to.
on top of all this, there's also a bunch of recycled takedown animations. I honestly, from my observations, again, credibility going towards me having an awful amount of time on these games.
Credibility going towards him having no life and
Yeah,
therefore
got it. You got it.
depending on these games
Right
for
on
life.
name. Shut the fuck up. So basically, there is no unique takedown animation in this entire game. Bat Swarm animation is the same. All disarm destroy takedown. All disarm destroying is the same. Multi-ground takedown is the same. Every single like bone breaking animation is the same. Every single thing, and it's. I mean, Shock Gloves obviously have their own thing because it wasn't in City, but again, no excuse. Uh, and my God, just so much recycled stuff. Like when you counter a thug, that's generally also again recycled. They probably took all.
That's if you get the counter in the first
So if you
place.
get the count in the first place, yeah. I mean, I could sit here all day and list every single recycled animation in the game, but we'd be here until Arkham 5 releases. So, yeah.
I think it's important to note that the PC port. We've mentioned this early on, but the PC port is more broken than the console reviews. On the than the console port. Sorry,
Console reviews.
I hate you, Burger, with a passion.
Love you too.
Die.
Live. I don't know.
But no, the console port is much less buggy, so some of the technical problems that we brought up obviously don't apply to the console port. But the graphical ones still do. I've seen a lot of console gameplay, and it looks a little better sometimes in the PC port, but it's still it's never beating City. It's never gonna beat City.
And at the end of the day, we're judging the game off our experiences.
Yeah,
And we have an experience on console.
Yeah.
So
exactly. So fight us all you want.
Yeah,
We're
I
re-
myself haven't. Yeah, I never could play Origins. Like even when I had a PS3, I wasn't into Arkham back then, so I did not play Origins on my PS3. So I don't have any experience with the console port, like the console version of it. But everything I know about Origins is from the PC version, and yeah, so that's pretty much it from my perspective.
we didn't talk about the best like award-winning feature of the graphics and technicalities. Anyone want to take the cake home?
Ajman, you want this one?
What?
You want the
I
last
didn't
point?
catch you there.
You want the last point we were gonna make on this beautiful game's graphics?
Oh, the 2D, the infamous.
No.
Okay. Oh, of course. All right, guys. Did you know that a game that came out in 2013, like Arkham Origins, that features one of the best characters of all time, has 2D fire textures?
Yep.
Wow, what a shocker, right? Like, Montreal, why? Why? You nearly had a fair fight, like a fair boss fight with Firefly going on at the bridge section of the game where you fight Firefly. But, of course, you had to ruin how it all looks with putting in ridiculously, like, less developed textures, like 2D fire textures, in a game where everything looks moderate and it looks garbage. Like it feels like an intern made it. It feels like an intern decided to work on Arkham Origins instead of the actual devs.
I legit think
Like,
that's what happened, man, with this game.
I sometimes can picture a scenario where the devs in Montreal are like, "Oh, we're gonna take a break. We're gonna get some coffee. You know what? Hey, intern, you come here. You can work on this fire
Let's
stuff."
get Ryan the intern to do it.
I mean,
Damn, Samara.
Montreal, we get it, man. You were forced to make this game, WB Games. They forced you to make Arkham Origins, and you hated your jobs. You wanted to punish Batman. You wanted to punish the idea of Batman. You wanted to punish WB, and so you decided to make so many errors with this game. We get it, but come on, you could have had a little compassion for us hardcore fans.
Yeah,
Like you could have tried.
It's,
God damn it.
God. Talking about this game is so hard for us because like we genuinely hate it.
I think that brings us to a close. I mean, we're probably
Thanks
missing
a lot.
something. We're probably missing a lot of things, but I'm sure our scores will show that.
Mm. And again, as always, I'm probably gonna keep repeating this for all of our sections, but you have a problem, talk about it.
Yeah. We will be in the comments.
We have no lives. We will respond.
We will, I promise. If you are spurting opinions that we can't really respond to, though, then we're not going to respond because it's an opinion.
Yeah.
We value them. But if you have a question, a request for content, or proof, or whatever, then that's something we can oblige to.
Yep.
Again, opinions we can't change. So it's a free world.
But yeah, let's start scoring this useless shit shack of a game. I'm gonna start calling
Scoring
it
the scoring graphics in Arkham Origins. Definitely gonna get the highest mark in the world. Like, of course,
Oh, before
it's gonna
bugs,
get the
though.
highest. Obviously. What?
Before bugs, though.
Yeah, but
Oh, for
obviously
graphics, yeah,
bugs gets like the
yeah.
highest score, right? Because it has so little bugs.
10 out of 10. Anyway, Ajman, you want to go first?
Sure. I'm glad to be the one to score the graphics take a section for this.
Right on, brother. Go for
All
it.
right. I wish we recorded our facial expressions because I'm trying to make my most disappointed face, but I can't because I'm also
You also have your
laughing at.
intimidating face on because you want to intimidate the game.
Yeah, my intimidating face would give Troy Baker a run for his money. Like he would be tempted to like beat me with his Joker face compared to mine. And forget all that. We're moving into a different direction. So as for my score for graphics, all right, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get torn apart on the internet now, but I'm gonna give it a 0.5.
0.5.
Jesus.
Ajman.
Those textures ruined everything for me.
Okay, I'm gonna go next. I hated everything about this game, but given that pre-rendered cutscenes look so good, I have to give. I
Oh
have to.
wait! I forgot about the pre-rendered cutscenes. Like if we consider that into the equation, I will be a little bit more generous and give it a 1 out of 5.
1.
Because the pre-rendered cutscenes did look cool. So
Fair enough.
yeah.
With
So I'll give it a
me,
1.
with me. Yes, grit 1.
I'm going to put the same thing in, personally.
1.
1.
Oh, what's
That's
that
the
gonna
one.
be?
1. That's really depressing. Asylum is still beating us 3 categories in.
Asylum still beating us from its first category.
Yeah.
Again, just like to point out, we give reasons for all the reasons as to why we hate this game. There's reasons within reasons within reasons within reasons. Therefore, if you have a problem, you need to voice it out. Because we're generally open for discourse on this topic. Because if you feel like we're being too harsh on this, please, we really want to know. We really wanna have this conversation because it's important to us too. We really do love these games, and yes, we do play other games too. We're not total losers, but
Well,
no, Arkham holds a special place in our heart, and we do love having good discourse and conversation on it. So yeah, if you have anything to say about specifically about how low we scored it for this subtopic, mention it down there in the comments. And yeah, with that said,
yeah, that's about it. So we gave
3 decks.
1 deck,
1 deck. Sorry,
yeah,
my bad. I can't.
and that brings us to a total of 8.5 decks out of
100.
100. Yeah, yeah. 'Cause I almost say 8.5 decks out of 10 because I'm used to giving high scores. Um, all right, that's a yikes for me. But yeah, next time we'll be looking at well-designed atmosphere. Stay tuned.
And welcome back. Now we're gonna be discussing the world design and atmosphere segments of Arkham Origins. And let's just say that, like, coming off of the heels of discussing the graphics, this segment, like the world design segment, doesn't fare any better than that. Like, it's if not, it's as worse as that in my opinion. Like the world design as a whole, it's so lazy. Like Montreal, basically what they did was they took Arkham City and they basically purified most of it and they added lots of snow and they created a new section of Gotham that's called New Gotham. That's the south part of it. Like North Gotham, that's old Gotham, that's Arkham City, and the other part of the world is South Gotham, that's New Gotham, that is. And what's terrible about that is like it's stale because it's bland. Like aside from a bunch of like enemies here and there and a bunch of police cops, like every other location, there isn't a lot to this world. Am I right, guys?
It's very unremarkable.
Uncharacteristic.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
It
it's
feels like
uncharacteristic.
Montreal just like started playing City Skylines and randomly put down some buildings, right? It's so uncharacteristic. Arkham North. I keep saying Arkham North.
Gotham North.
North Gotham, whatever. Old Gotham, whatever. Um, and it's so characteristic. It's got all these really cool buildings and stuff. Like the Bowery looks amazing with that. Like the glass
The
things.
unbroken glass,
Yeah,
yeah.
unbroken. Like going between the corridors and like the Jesuit Plaza and stuff like that. It's got so much style, but it's like South Gotham is so unmemorable to me. Like I just think of like blocky buildings and full stop. You know?
That's mostly again because of the total lack of color and character to those
Yeah,
buildings. You know, there's
Yeah.
like there's well thought out shapes in some areas, but it's pointless because there's nothing to accentuate those shapes. There's no atmosphere per se. Um, Plus there's that annoying mist we talked about earlier, just enveloping the whole bloody map, making everything feel like you're in a foggy wasteland that just doesn't look good.
Yeah, exactly. Well, last time we mentioned that Arkham City had less atmosphere than Asylum did, or that's what I believed anyway. Well, this is uh, this has kind of broken that ratio, I suppose, entirely. This is no atmosphere whatsoever
There's
yeah,
honestly not a lot for us to even talk about in this segment because there's just
because it's so unremarkable. There's nothing to comment on.
and like even the in-game environments, right? Like the GCR towers,
Yeah.
like it's just so bland, so pathetic.
And
Just
pointless. It's like this random corridor leading to a blank wall, no ladder, but Batman just grapples up. It's like, what is the purpose of that area?
like an architect designing like a first level blueprint would probably do a better job of detailing and making things look better than this game did with its interior design.
It's
yeah,
absurd. And do you guys remember Bane's hideout? So you have to go through this very convoluted way of getting down to Bane's hideout, and then you have to go through a river using a glue grenade.
The
And
question is, how the bloody hell is Bane gonna get through?
yeah, does he just like be a Chad and walk straight through like
Just
probably like 3 feet of sludge or something? It's absurd. It's so not thought out, and there's no other entrances,
yeah,
yeah.
and
So
it's
Bane either had to shrink down like Ant-Man, or
yeah.
or just
like
just full on freestyle stroke or whatever the hell swimming
He probably
is.
sank.
Yeah, quite
like
realistically.
And then all his men somehow find their way down there as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, they probably have like some weird inflatable raft, right, for the little
They
minions.
probably ride on the Venom and House inmates.
It's just God. World design is supposed to have logic and reason behind it. This doesn't have any of that.
No.
It's very sad. It's a very half-assed attempt. Um, and yeah, the platforming is also very, very broken. Some places don't have proper grapple points. Like I remember this
yeah,
one segment, like of a building where one side had grapple points and the other side didn't. I think you saw me playing that,
Yeah, then
right?
I found this one water tower where
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was gonna do a grapple accelerator off of, and
Arkham Origins
there was
upgraded.
literally no grapple point on it. It was about the standard 50 meters away from me.
He was right under the tower, is what he's trying to
Yeah,
say.
and I mean initially I tried doing a grapple boost from 50 meters away, and then I tried grappling just below it, and there was no grapple point. It's ridiculous.
The world designing in this game is horribly done, and the atmosphere is. There's no point talking about it.
And honestly, there's nothing else we can comment on because the world is just so bland. When you look out from like the North Pillar, it's just grey.
yeah.
It's just grey.
This is very uncharacteristic of a top deck review, though, because we have normally we do ramble on for a little bit longer, even about like especially for world design and atmosphere sometimes, because there is some juicy details we like to talk about in
Yeah.
terms of
With
character.
Arkham City, there was stuff going on. There was
Yeah, this
flashing neon lights. They were
city
really cool and
and
characteristic. There was
different environments. You know, the moods, the atmospheres, like
helicopters going around. You know, there
crime
was
alley,
Crime Alley.
the general color of the Bowery,
The Wonder Tower looming over in the background, and you knew what kind of power that had, right? There was that psychological element as well.
and even Asylum, right? The ability to use claustrophobia and rename that into atmosphere. That is smart.
Opposite of claustrophobia.
Yeah, this is honestly just
Oh my god, and the Royal Hotel, the Royal
the
Hotel,
Royal Hotel.
Royal
The
Hotel,
Royal
yeah.
Hotel.
So that is like, if you've seen the mapping for that, do you remember the mapping when you were looking for those Enigma packs?
Yes.
So with
So
that,
convoluted.
there's so many places where you can't go and weird places where you can go. It's so undetailed, it's really weird.
Honestly, a lot of a lot of these things that we're talking about just lead into the brokenness of this game, which also leads into us being confused as to whether these are bugs or actual features.
Yeah. When in
Um,
doubt, Montreal.
when in doubt, Montreal 100% works for this review. Um, but is
That's legit. Argument, do you have anything to add?
I, well, my biggest gripe with the world design and atmosphere regarding this would have to be the lack of civilians. Honestly, like
Yeah,
this
true.
is
Yeah.
not. This is not supposed to be Arkham Asylum, where it's only like a group of inmates and supervillains and doctors and staff. No, it makes sense. Like in Arkham City, it's all just criminals, and that makes sense. That it would make sense that everyone you would encounter would be a criminal there and police officers, because that's what a prison is supposed to have. It's not supposed to have civilians running around, but we're supposed to believe in Origins that every citizen in Gotham is so obedient that they listened to City Hall's order to stay home. Like every single one of them just listened blindly to City Hall's order to stay indoors. Like, how is it possible that there isn't at least like a few random civilians down the street, like walking down? Like, imagine if you had side missions where you had to fight thugs from attacking random civilians.
Yeah.
Like, how cool
true.
would that
Oh
be?
god,
But
wait, that sounds like
Montreal,
random acts of violence from Arkham City.
like, imagine if Montreal had been a bit more active and decided to do that. But
That
guess
is a
what? They
very fair
didn't.
argument, actually. Yeah.
On top of
Yeah, like you could have added civilians, and I remember you telling me about this mix. Like this game, like there are games before Arkham Origins that came out long ago that had pedestrians, like NPCs.
Yeah, Assassin's
not-
Creed 1, 2. You know, those were both very
They-
old games, like 2009-ish
Yeah.
games, and they had
Like they
goddamn civilians.
NPCs. They had NPCs.
NPCs,
Why
sorry.
couldn't Arkham Why couldn't Arkham Origins do that? Guess we'll never know. Like maybe
No, I mean, buddy,
all
we
we
do
can-
know. It's because it's Montreal.
yeah.
like yeah, that's probably the only assumption we can make. Like Montreal, they really did not have any passion
Screwed the pooch
for
with
making
this
this
one,
game.
man. They screwed the pooch.
They completely wasted their opportunity. Like they had such a wonderful opportunity to create something like beautiful looking, but they just went with the most blandest plan possible. Like
And just enveloped everything in mist so we couldn't see the details as to as to how bad it is.
Yeah. On top of all
Yeah.
that, it's like the random placement of generators on top of buildings.
Yeah, yeah.
Funny, did you get that random panel on the side of a building with extortion data on one of the biggest mob bosses in the city on the side of our little fucking house? No?
I think a crazy bat guy
I mean,
took
I
it.
still can't forgive how they like. I think. Wait, did we discuss this in the graphics part where the explosive gel walls were just the wooden walls?
Yeah, we did.
We did.
Yeah, like I know that's a different thing, like that's a graphics part, but I mean, how stupid can you be with designing the
I
simplest
mean,
of
yeah,
things?
that in itself is clear reason as to the fact that they've been shoddy with the rest of the world design. So yeah, I mean, not much else.
Much else.
You wanna do the thing?
Okay, well, I'm gonna give it a bit of leeway. I'm gonna give this a 2.5 purely because I like some of the recreation of Arkham City.
Some of them,
I
yeah,
like some of the cleanliness of it.
yeah.
Um, I'm
Also, I would also like to add that there's this one other like small good thing I like about the world design, and that's the number of Easter eggs. Like there are
Yes.
Easter eggs to Lex Luthor, there are Easter eggs to Zatanna, Black Canary. Like they tried to make it look like the Arkham universe had other DC heroes and villains, and it worked. There was also an Easter egg to Basil Carlo, like Clayface. Like there was an Easter egg for Basil Carlo's performance. That was a cool nod. There was a poster for Hugo Strange. Like they did their best to build the world with Easter eggs, even though the textures and everything were
Yeah,
horrible.
but
They
what's the
tried their
point of
best.
having Easter eggs if your players aren't gonna enjoy the environment long enough to stay in the environment to notice the
Exactly,
Easter eggs?
exactly.
very good
So
point, actually.
that's yeah. So that's specifically why I'm saying like that's the only good environmental part. Like that's the only aspect of the world design that I somewhat enjoy, like seeing those Easter eggs and stuff. So that's pretty much it for the good things regarding the world design.
How much are you gonna score it, Ajman? Because Danny just scored it a 2.5,
Yeah, yeah,
and you are going to
yeah.
score it.
I think I'll go with the 2.5 as well.
I'm gonna be a
Like,
little controversial here. I'm gonna give it a
yeah,
3.
okay.
Controversial, he says, 0.5 points ahead. I'm giving it a 3 because seeing the Bowery in its, you know, prestige, if you would, is kind of humbling and kind of nice. Like seeing the clean glass, not shattered and stuff.
Yeah, true.
Um, and like some environments, at least in the pre-rendered cutscenes, look really good on occasion.
That's more graphics, really.
I know, but like even when you go back into the game world, the fact that there are these constructions, and I know it's very poorly accentuated and very poorly like acknowledged.
I
Um,
think I know what you mean, like the building that Joker exploded,
yes,
even though there's
yes,
2D textures.
yeah, yeah, and I think, I mean, I'm gonna try and cut it some slack here for that, because it is very hard to live up to Arkham standards. That much I have to be honest on. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna go ahead with a 3, which ends us up with a total of 2.5.
Great. That
2.5
worked.
deck. Good God. This is honestly getting like out of hand.
That puts us at a total of 11 points. Dex. I can't believe I said points.
How
That's blasphemy.
dare you? Heresy of the highest order. Go to your room.
Sorry. Yeah, but World Design Atmosphere scores 2.5 Dex out of 10.
So far, not so good.
Not so
But
good.
will the next one be a bit of a picker
More
upper?
positive topic.
I
Yeah,
think
it's
so.
gonna be a more positive topic overall to talk about.
We'll be back next, talking about character design and voice acting, and boy oh boy,
Yeah,
do we
we're
have a lot of
gonna.
love for Troy Baker and
Yeah,
Roger
we
Craig
have,
Smith. We shall talk about it a little bit more in depth.
and let's not forget about Nolan North. You know,
Oh, of
Penguin.
course.
Yes,
Yeah,
That guy.
true.
yes.
True.
Yeah,
Hey, let's not spoil it for the listeners. Let's get there
yeah.
when we get there.
We won't. We'll save it for later. So
But
yeah, we'll
yeah.
come back soon with character design and voice acting.
And we're back with what are we talking? Stem.
Character design, voice acting, we're up to, I believe.
Cool. So I guess this is something that we can probably give this game some points for, right, Ajman?
Definitely. This game's got pretty good talent when it comes to the voice acting sector alone. Like, it's pretty good in my opinion.
And yeah, I mean, we better hope that it scores something. It needs all the points it can get right now. Daniel,
Yeah.
would you mind reminding them how many points we're at right now for this god awful game?
So we are currently at 11 points after scoring World Design Atmosphere a petty 2.5 out of 10, which is pretty horrendous. So hopefully character design and voice acting kind of up us up a bit.
So we'll find out. Anyways, Ajmin, start us off with this hopefully good section for this review.
Sure thing. So, given that this game is a prequel to the main Arkham trilogy, it made sense for WP Montreal to bring in younger voice actors to play the characters in this game because naturally, Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill would sound way too old at this point in time. Like, if they had brought them back, Batman wouldn't sound young, Joker wouldn't sound young, so they did not bring them back. Instead, they brought Troy Baker to play Joker and Roger Craig Smith to play the world's greatest detective, aka Batman. And I gotta say, both of them did a phenomenal job. A lot of people would give more credit to Troy Baker for giving a better performance when it comes to his Joker because a lot of people found his Joker to be quite iconic and even on par with Mark Hamill to an extent. I've heard people praise Troy Baker like that, and it's understandable. It's a pretty dang good Joker. And Roger Craig Smith, he does a pretty good job at delivering that newbie Batman because he's in his second year only and he's got a lot of temper issues. He's not exactly calculating all the time. He's rash. He's always doing things recklessly. Like, he isn't thinking things through sometimes, and it shows. He's always impatient, and I think Roger Craig Smith delivered that really well, and it helped solidify that young Batman.
Yeah, I agree. I love Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill to bits, obviously, but quite frankly, I think Roger Craig and Joker did a fantastic job at portraying. Obviously, Batman was a lot more less refined, like you said, and again, Roger
Yeah.
really showed that off to us. In the way he interrogates some of the thugs and just how he doesn't really know how to deal with people as a vigilante.
Or ask for help, even.
Yeah, yeah. He's
Yeah.
very individualized and a man is in a mountain, as some great man once said. I don't know who it was. But someone said that probably at some point in time.
Yeah.
And again, Troy Baker.
Troy Baker's got yeah. Like, Troy
There's a great-
Baker's got a lot of these iconic lines, honestly. You gotta agree with that, right? Like,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm
Especially
one of
with,
those people that identify with loving Troy Baker's Joker the most in in Origins. I mean, from
Yeah.
all of the characters, superior damn job. And
And
honestly, for me, one of the few reasons to keep playing the games. I mean, the game Arkham Origins. But yeah, I loved listening to him. Loved his dialogue.
And
Origins
I
doesn't
just
have a
wanna
lot
point
going
this
for
out
it,
too,
but
yeah.
if there is something going for it, it's probably Troy Baker
Yeah,
and
Troy,
Craig.
yeah. And yeah, Ajman, you were about to say?
Yeah, like, I was just gonna say that Troy has done quite a lot of work for this franchise, not just Arkham Origins, because he had voiced Robin and
Yeah.
a few other characters in Arkham City. And going from Robin to a character like Joker is a big leap. And it's fascinating as to how he delivered that jump. And he had this change that's unprecedented. Like, we did not expect Troy Baker to be this good as the Joker because of how he sounded as Robin in the past game.
That
So,
is a good
as
observation.
a voice
yeah.
actor, that's quite a bit of an achievement, honestly. And we should applaud Troy Baker for that. Like, the guy gave all his effort in for this game to portray the best Joker possible, and I think he did achieve that. Like, I'm not gonna say that he was close to that or anything. I'm just gonna go out and say that he did a really, really, really good job, and he did reach that mark for a really good Joker,
Yeah, I
an
mean,
iconic Joker, not
in
just
my
a really good
opinion,
Joker.
best young Joker that I've
Yeah,
seen on screen.
yeah, I agree.
And yeah, just you wish I could say his name and the role that he played with less of a bitter taste in my mouth,
Yeah, I know.
but it is what it is. I mean, again, there's a lot more good to talk about. Black Mask was well voiced. Well, Black Mask after Joker unveils himself.
Yeah,
Um, Penguin was well voiced, I believe.
and just generally
Yeah,
Um,
well
he
executed.
was
Just
yeah,
talking about character design as well, not just voice
yeah, yeah,
acting.
he
yeah,
was the
yeah.
same voice actor. He was even the same voice actor from Arkham City.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
Nolan
it
North.
was Nolan North. Yeah. So he's a very iconic Penguin. He made his name as Penguin through the Arkham games, and it shows. And it was I was glad that he was brought back for this game as
Mm.
well. He was a pretty good Penguin too. Very iconic.
Yeah, even Bane and even Enigma. Enigma was the same actor again, right?
Yeah, throughout the entire
Um,
Arkham
Yeah.
universe.
but Bane, damn. See, most of the Arkham
Yeah,
games
Bane
have
was great.
have Bane as
Yeah.
this like single faceted, just strong man sort of icon. But in this Arkham game, say what you will about it, Bane was well executed.
Yeah, I think probably
He
the
was
better
much
Bane
more
voice
comic
actor.
accurate. I think as a whole, he was a lot more comic accurate than Asylum Bane. Like, Asylum Bane was a much more developed Bane, obviously. He had gone through a lot of changes in his life, but this Bane, with the voice acting and the characterization as a whole, the way he was given dialogue, the sharpness of his mind and his intelligence, they were all portrayed very well by this voice actor. And this is a Bane that's very accurate to the comics. Bane is a very smart character in the comics, and he's one of the only people who has beat Ra's al Ghul in chess. That's how smart he
Yeah,
is.
in a game of chess, I've read this as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think in this game, the voice actor had a very important job of delivering that intelligence while saying those lines, and he did a good job at that. Bane was very
That is
good in this game when it comes to his voice acting. Yeah.
Yeah, obviously there's a lot of good voice acting in Arkham Origins, but there is also some problems that I have with it as well.
Mhm.
Actors for, I don't know their names, but actors for like Shiva, Deadshot, and Firefly were really lacking to me, especially with the very few amount of voice lines, especially from Firefly.
I guess that is again a script issue,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
But
that's true.
the execution is something that we can still blame.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, because it's still a character design thing.
Yeah,
'Cause
like Firefly wasn't exactly memorable. I'll agree with you on that. I don't exactly think of him as this highlight of the voice acting part. I think he did okay at best when it comes to the voice acting part.
I think Daniel disagrees with okay, right? You think it was pretty damn bad, right?
I think it was pretty bad. Like, Deadshot and Shiva were absolutely atrocious
Oh, that's
displays of
fine.
voice acting to me. It felt very false.
Deadshot's character design was okay.
It was okay.
Probably better than City, but then in City you have a good excuse behind why he's like that because he just got his gear from like Strange,
Yeah,
homemade sorta.
Yeah, and he was stuck inside a prison, so he
Yeah.
could not get his old suit back. He had to improvise.
yeah, exactly.
But Deadshot in Origins was all right. I
Yeah,
think.
it
The
looked
character
cool,
design. Yeah.
but again, there were still many problems with the execution, just how he looked
Well,
and sounded and everything like
Deadshot's
that.
design, though, I will say this: he had lots of similarities with the New 52 version because when Origins came out, DC was having the New 52 era in the comics, and that design from Deadshot's, like from the New 52 continuity, got transitioned to Arkham Origins, like with the red suit and the gray mask and everything.
Yeah, and
Like that was from the modern
eye,
comics.
Yeah.
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 It was I'm not gonna say that it was a good transition. They could have done a lot better than what they did in the game. So I mean,
Very
they
true.
tried to incorporate elements from the comics. They tried to make it comic accurate, but they ended up not doing a good job at it. Deadshot wasn't like a very well designed character in my opinion in this game.
On
As
the
a whole.
subject of character models as well, before we move on to a few more things about this, there's something interesting both myself and Daniel noted. And it's that the Arkham Origins suit looks better in Arkham Knight than it does in Arkham Origins.
Yeah.
I know,
That
bold
that
claim to make.
does apply here.
Yeah, right? Because
It's like
it's just the amount of
Origins.
grays.
Well,
It's
yeah,
just the amount of grays in the suit. Because like in Arkham Origins, everything's so great. We've talked about this
Yeah.
before,
Yeah. It's
yeah.
but again, this
It's
is
an engine problem as a whole, I think.
yeah, it
Because
is.
as far as I know, for Knight, Rocksteady basically just copied and pasted the character models and just put it into the Arkham Knight engine. So the Arkham Knight engine was better. The Arkham Knight engine was much more advanced. I think it was Unreal Engine
Four.
3 or 4? 4. It was Unreal Engine 4.
It was 4.
And
wouldn't know.
I'm pretty sure it's 4, Megs. We might be wrong, but if we are, do correct us in the comments section or something. But as far as I know, the engine was so good in Night, it made all the suits in Night look amazing. Like, Asylum looked a little better. Asylum was already great. City was already great, so they looked... They already looked better in Night, but
Yeah, but Origins was like a
took big
night and
leap.
day difference in terms of the character model.
Yeah, and that was because of the engine mostly. But I do agree with you. Like, it's actually Origins' engine fault. Like the optimization, the way the engine was made for Origins was not good, and it made most of the characters look a bit grayish, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, like me and Danny were probably crying about it the most, right? During our play. Remember, everything's so good, right?
Yeah. Everything.
Everything is great. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this I guess brings us to a few more bad things about the game. Like we had what was it? Recycled thug animations and sorry, not
Yeah.
animations, character models from Arkham
Design.
City.
Yeah. The penguin thing
Yeah.
specifically.
And that in itself
Yeah.
makes no sense, right? Like, there's no way you
It
can even
doesn't at all.
justify that.
Like a
Like, there's
uniform
an
would
8
still be
to
there
10
after
year
10
gap.
years.
No, wait,
Yeah.
exactly, yeah.
11 years, really.
And Arkham City wasn't even a thing.
Yeah. Exactly.
Arkham Asylum wasn't even a thing.
Yeah.
The whole Arkham logo probably
Yeah, Arkham
didn't
Asylum
even
was
exist.
closed.
Yeah.
I mean,
True.
yeah, it doesn't make sense canonically, and it's just another
Loophole.
sign that it's also another sign that shows how lazy Montreal was while making this game. Like, they didn't even bother to take these inconsistencies into consideration. They probably were like, fans wouldn't notice this. They would be like, they don't care. They wouldn't probably care. Let's just do this. But guess what? We did notice. A lot of people noticed it, and WP was reckless in this. They could have created new models, but they decided to take the lazy route and copy models from a previous game, and it wasn't actually a very smart idea. It doesn't make sense canonically in this game.
All right, I think we've rambled on enough. Let's rip the band-aid off the wound. Okay?
Yeah.
Let's go to scoring.
For
I
character design first, right?
yeah, actually, you know what?
Or
Y'all decide who wants to score first.
Ashman, why don't you go?
all right. So am I gonna just rate the character design out of 5?
We normally do it like
Or
everything out of 10.
Yeah, for character design and voice acting,
Yeah.
it's a general out of 10.
Yeah.
all right, general out of 10. That's fine. So as a whole, I would give it a 5, basically. Never mind, not a 5. That doesn't sound fair when it comes to the voice acting. I'll give it a 6.
A
Because
6.
6, yeah. Honestly, I would have given it a straight up 9 because of how great Troy Baker and Roger Craig Smith were in terms of the voice acting part. They were very iconic. They were very, very good. But everything else brought it down. Like, the other actors,
Firefly,
the character
the
designs,
character models,
the
yeah.
character designs, yeah, they were like so grayish. They didn't look appealing to me, and it didn't like appeal to me at all. And it wasn't enjoyable to look at. It kind of lowered the bar for the game by a big margin, and so I have to give it a 6. If the character design was better, it would have gotten an 8 or 9 as a whole.
All right.
So I'm giving it a 6.
What about you, Daniel?
So I'm actually going to give this a 7.5.
7.5.
From obviously pre-rendered cutscene perspective, I know cutscenes isn't really part of this, but still, I felt like I was in the comic book when I was listening and watching Troy Baker and Roger Craig Smith, um, you know, have a conversation or whatever. It was really powerful to
Yeah.
me, and same with Bane, and even I mean, I didn't get to play Cold Heart. We'll get into that later, but even Mr. Freeze was pretty immersed, made the game immersive. I mean,
Yeah, Mr. Freeze
I
was
say
also
that, but
amazing.
you know what I mean. Um, but yeah, so I'm gonna give this a 7.5 out of
7.5.
10 decks.
All right. So right now we have 6 and 7.5. And I guess then it's my turn. Okay. So before I give my score, allow me to justify. I again highlight of the game, Troy Baker and Roger Craig Smith, right? And I agree with Daniel when it comes to the comic book moments, like the dialogue between Batman and Alfred when he's justifying why he has to do this. Just the sheer roughness of his character was so well personified. And alongside that, just we got a good glimpse into Joker's insanity because of Troy Baker's method, right? Because of the methods that he employed to act it out. And again, that character model also was pretty damn sweet to look at.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree.
but Firefly made it very, very boring.
I do agree, and that's what I had to penalize it 2.5 points
Mm,
for.
And yeah, like the the general grayness of the character models really, really just it it prevents me from liking it anymore. Even though I know that they are probably good character models, they just don't look good because of bloody engine, like Ajvain put it, and that kind of affects my judgment.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's the experience that you have as a player.
Exactly,
It's not what you
exactly.
go into the files and look at.
Yeah,
That's not
yeah,
what anyone would do.
yeah, and I need
The
to say
engine is
too.
primarily the reason why most of these characters look bad, because the
Mm,
engine was not a very good engine to put in this game. It was not properly utilized, and that's why the grayish textures on the characters appear so much.
yeah, I
Yeah.
guess on that note, I need to be true to myself, which is why I'm going with yeah, 7. I'm going with 7 decks.
All right.
Which leads us with 20.5 total divided by 3. That's 6.83 decks. And in true top deck fashion, we always round down to the nearest zero point 0.5, which gives us 6.5 decks. And
And
yeah,
that brings us to a total of 17.5 decks total for Arkham Origins. So we're almost a fifth of the way
My
to
God.
100. We are
My
5
God.
categories in.
oh my god.
It's not looking good.
Wait, what do we have next?
We've
Sound
got
design.
sound
That's
design
what
again.
boxes off. Okay, never mind, never mind. I don't want to spoil it for anyone listening. We shall be back shortly. Sound design and game score. Catch y'all then. And we're back with which part is this? Yeah, sound design and game score. Um, uh, I'm already starting to get sad again.
Yeah, more where that comes from. Um, so sound design game score is what I consider the Arkham game to really thrive on for the most part. However, Arkham Origins is, as per usual, a major letdown. Um, and while the soundtrack is good in some parts, for me, for example, I quite like the main menu theme, to be honest.
I quite hate it. I find it loud, obnoxious,
I love
and
it too, Danny. I quite like it.
Jesus, am I outvoted
I
here
mean,
or
the
something?
Christmas theme, the Christmassy theme, like, I am guilty of spending lots of time on the main menu screen just listening to that, because it's so different, right? It's not like the ones we have heard from City. We had heard from City or Asylum. It was not gothic. It was Christmassy. It was like it felt like a Batman that didn't that was from a different part of the universe.
The bat who saved
And
Christmas. Oh, that is a bad joke to make now,
the
Resident.
bat.
Oh God.
Oh no!
I am so
Oh
sorry.
god, you should not have said that.
Well, it's not December yet, so
Oh God.
let's see what happens.
Anyway, going back to the fictional world of Arkham, not the real world, the fictional world. The score was at the main menu screen. It was pretty good. It kind of resonated with it because it was not dark fully, but it was not lighthearted either. Like there, it's just it was interesting to hear. Like I did like listening to it as a whole, so I liked it. I liked it a lot, honestly.
I can't
Yeah.
I can't agree with you boys on that. I just found it very loud, obnoxious, and just Again, this might be psychologically related to me linking the game with everything I hate about gaming.
Yeah.
It's bad gameplay, bad sound, which we will talk about now. But yeah, personally, I really dislike. I don't even want to say I tolerated it. I just disliked it, the main menu theme. But yeah, that is that. One soundtrack that I liked a lot was
Carol of the Bells.
yes, that's what it's called. That's the track that plays right after the Joker unveils himself and drives off in the van and explodes everything behind him. The dun, 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 dun,
Yeah.
dun, chills, chills.
Yeah, I like that too.
One of my favorite cutscenes as well. You know, when he's at Black Mask and he's just trying to stifle a giggle, just
Yeah.
trying to stop himself from laughing. God, loved
Really
that.
powerful scene.
Yeah.
And couldn't have been without the music.
And again, canonically, first interaction between the Batman and the Joker. You know? So that's
Yeah.
something to think about. And yeah, that soundtrack really, really, hit the nail on the head for that cutscene. So yeah, I love that piece of the soundtrack. I'm definitely going to give it some good scores. Or going to give the section some good scores for that. But that's, I think, about as much good as we can say, Daniel.
Yeah.
What more do you have to say, Daniel?
Is obviously the soundtrack is good in one or two places, but the free roam music is so repetitive. It is the same track on loop
Yeah.
whenever you are outside of a side mission or a main mission. It is just the I don't even want to try and do a cappella here because I don't want to make everyone click off this video more than they already are because we're smashing Origins.
Hopefully, I mean, again, we probably said this too many times. I've probably said this too many
Yeah.
times. But if you disagree, tell us about it.
Yeah.
Um.
We have a Discord server now.
Oh yeah, we forgot about that.
And we'll put that in the description below.
Yep.
Yeah. And then you can come in and comment, give us feedback, have a chat with us.
Mm.
We'll probably reply.
Yeah, we didn't have much else to do besides uni. But yeah, a few more things that we need to talk about that really disheartened us, right? The combat sounds. Okay. One good thing about the combat sounds for me that I just remembered actually was I kind of like the electricity crackle of the electrocutioner's gloves. I thought it was kind of cool. Again, not that hard of a sound to do, I guess, in a game, but it was enjoyable, and variated, slightly variated to the point where I could like it.
Yeah.
But that's about it. Everything else was just good
Apart
God.
from that, when you don't have electricity gloves on, is that stuff quap?
Yeah,
Quap.
yeah, that's bad.
It's blunt.
It's very
boring, and it's just not a satisfying sound. You dread combat. It's amazing that psychological element where you dread combat because you don't want to have to listen to something so boring.
And that's not even the half of it. Because you know how you have knockout smashes, right? The knockout smashes in this game, I'm trying to find a good way to describe it. Can you help me out here?
I feel
Both of
like
you.
if you would take like 2 pieces of celery and you like smash those
But if you
together,
smash it hard enough, they snap, and even that snap sounds better
Yeah,
than this
true.
god awful sound effect.
maybe like lightly tapping a piece of celery against a piece of wood.
No, see, but even that, it's bassy, right? This was just like, I'm sorry, I don't know how to describe it, but if you know, you know, right? It's a very, 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 very unsatisfying sound. Because in the normal Arkham games, yes, I'm calling them normal Arkham games. This isn't normal.
The Rocksteady
Um,
trilogy.
The Rocksteady trilogy, right? The knockout smashes were boom, like a thunder crack.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, you felt like you split this guy's skull open, right? It was a big sound.
It's okay, we don't kill.
Yeah, Batman never, even if he yeets someone off a goddamn balcony, he doesn't. Not in these games. Drop someone from like a 10-meter height and just catches them with their leg of all things. Doesn't dislocate and kill them.
Good game theory video on that, by the way. Would recommend it.
But yeah, like back to what I was talking about. The knockout smash sound in this, I think both of y'all agree, is just it brings a whole new level to wanting to use the remote claw in the Predator maps just to not even bother hearing it. So
Yeah, just to get the Predator over and done with.
Exactly.
Like, for me, it
The
makes for playing
knockout
this one
smash-
through Origins.
The knockout smash is pretty much non-existent for me. Like the sound, that is. There have been so many instances where I have done knockout smashes, whether it be in the free roam parts or in a mission or in a story mission. I tried doing knockout smashes, but guess what? I never heard that satisfying sound, that satisfying smashing sound that we used to hear in Asylum and City. For some reason, it's pretty much non-existent in this game because 90% of the time I do a knockout smash, I don't hear that, and it's frustrating because it doesn't make sense, right? You're smashing someone downwards onto the ground. You should hear a large noise that should accompany it, but there is nothing, and it doesn't make sense. And on top of that, it's super unsatisfying because it kind of puts you off the mood to do more knockout smashes. You would rather just use your bat claw or use some other gadgets to take out guys.
exactly.
It's such a bad decision, man. Like, I don't know if it is a bug or something. I don't know if it was a mistake on
I think it's an
Montreal's part.
oversight. I think it's an oversight because when you
Probably
normally
an
do a
oversight,
silent
yeah.
takedown, it does do that like slow thunder thing, right?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like,
Yeah, we're
Right.
so good at Arkham.
but like even in combat, it'll do that. I mean, apart from all the other horrendous combat noises that Arkham Origins has for combat, it'll still do. I think it still does that thunder thing. Right?
Yeah,
But and silent takedowns, but I think they just forgot to put it in the knockout smash.
I think better justifying this lies with dealing with the elephant in the room, right? The recycled sounds.
Yeah.
Everything is recycled.
Pretty
Almost,
much everything.
right? The only thing that's slightly new is that sound for the remote claw, but even that low key sounds like the sound that you make when you take the line launcher out.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we're a little confused on that one, but like from the idiots, from the lazy idiots that copied every single sound, right? The question lies: why did you copy the knockout smash?
Yeah, I know.
How dumb do you have to be?
I'm hard on saying it.
But yeah, that's
I wanna add something though. Like, since all three of us here have played Origins only on PC, we don't know if this knockout smash predicament is present in the console
I
version
can verify
too.
it's not.
So
It's not.
it's not.
No.
It's all right.
I do remember that
did
difference when
not
I was
know
playing
that.
it back in the day.
really.
Yeah, I do.
So you actually have knockout smashes in the console port, like proper booms.
No, you don't.
Oh, you don't.
You don't.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you don't.
So it's just
Oh,
shit.
all
all
right.
around.
So
Yeah,
in that case, this was a huge oversight on Montreal's part, and it's unacceptable. It's completely unacceptable. It's not something. I mean, you could have fixed it with an update, right? I told these things can be fixed
Yeah,
with
how hard
updates,
could
but
it be? Just
you know what
replace the sound
Montreal's
file and an upload. It's easy.
you know what Montreal's policy is, right? They publicly said that they would not
Fix the
update,
bugs.
they would not fix the bugs with updates. So there you have it. Montreal doesn't give a damn about these things, regardless of how much they mean to us fans. So, do what you want with it.
Might
It
I
is what
remind
it is.
everyone listening, Montreal is the company responsible for the next, well, not Arkham game, I guess, but the next Batman game.
We are not sure. It is heavily rumored to be a soft reboot, but regardless of that, it is gonna be a new Batman game, and Montreal is gonna be making it. So I sincerely hope that they learn from their mistakes in Origins. Like, we have listed a lot of mistakes so far. But
And we haven't
I
even
really
gotten
hope
to the
that they
biggest
learn from their
mistake
mistakes.
section of the entire review. We haven't. We haven't
Yep.
gotten to bugs.
We're gonna be, yeah. Oh god,
but
the
yeah,
bugs. It's that's the biggest antagonist in this game. It's not the Joker. The bugs are the main villain of Arkham Origins.
that is a very
Like,
true
we're gonna be
statement,
talking
my
about
friend.
that. Yeah, we're gonna be talking about that soon enough. We're gonna be dissecting every element of this antagonist, like this huge antagonist, the bugs. Like, it is the biggest enemy of the Arkham games as a whole. So we're gonna be talking about it soon enough.
I mean, that leaves us with nothing else to say,
I
right?
kind of wanted to just,
Yeah.
provide some evidence as to the recycled sounds that we're talking about.
Yeah.
I don't want to just say it
Yeah.
because, for example, the cryptographic sequencer,
Oh yeah.
exact same, like when it gets disrupted, exact same noise of like the static and stuff. The Riddler pickups, whenever you picked up like an Enigma pack, it's the same as City. Whenever you break someone's bone, it's the same. Disarm, destroy, exact same sound file and animation, but we've already covered that. Combo leveling, like when you go to your ×5 or your ×8, whatever, same sound. Or when you go into your free flow, same sound. Your gliding initiation, when you
Yeah.
kind of thing going on. Same thing. And then your grapple boost. The
Raptor accelerate.
Grapnel accelerate, you're right. That is the same sound as the grapnel boost from the game 11 years.
Which doesn't make any sense at all. Why would they have the same?
How did Lucius Fox make the same gadget and not call it the same thing? That is an enigma. Oh god, I'm making Riddler jokes. This is how much this game has scarred me.
Although, wait, before we move on to the next part, I just wanna talk about this briefly. Did Lucius Fox make all the gadgets for Batman in Origins? Or was it just Batman himself? Because in that case, Batman must have made the accelerator himself, and the boost was made by Lucius Fox. Maybe that's why they sound similar and it wasn't exactly Lucius's fault. I'm just saying, honestly.
That is
what do you
the
think?
dumbest justification I could think of, to be honest.
I mean, I applaud you for trying to defend Montreal, but that does seem a bit far-fetched.
Also, since we just, I know this is probably not the time and place to talk about it, but I just wanted to mention we were talking about possibilities for them to not have the grapnel accelerator, right? Do you think we should mention it now?
Yeah, might as well.
Might as well, right? Anyways,
Might as well, yeah.
just before we move on to scoring, so me and the boys were talking about like how they could have not used the accelerator / boost, and there are multiple ways, right? One, I guess, slightly inadequate method would have been having the Batwing give you the ability to drop you off on any rooftop, right? And another, I think, the more plausible of the two would have been not having the Batwing at all and having the Batmobile. Because let's think about it. What would make more sense for a year one Batman? Getting the Batwing or having a Batmobile? Right, Ajmin?
Exactly. I think some sort of transport. It was not necessary for it to be called a Batmobile, but it could have been any car, something like the one that's gonna be used in the upcoming movie, like the Matt Reeves movie. That's not exactly like a tanked up Batmobile. It's a normal car that got turned
they could have
into
used the Arkham Asylum
smaller
one.
Batmobile. We could have had something like that. Yeah, like, and according to the canon story in this game, the asylum Batmobile was not ready yet, but they could have changed it. They could have made it look like the Batmobile was already operational, and they could have let the players use the Batmobile.
And they could have mentioned that the Batwing was still under construction. Sorry, because that would have been more plausible to believe, right?
Honestly, that would have made more sense.
Yeah, and with that, we wouldn't have any use for the accelerator, because Batman could travel pretty seamlessly.
Also, the whole Batwing thing, like, it was just a cheap tactic Like, it was a cheap marketing tactic because when the game was being advertised, Montreal was continuously telling everyone that, oh, you can ride the Batwing, you should play this game. That's the main reason why you should buy it. Like, you can ride the Batwing, you can control it. And honestly, though, in terms of advertising the game, Montreal was like, you know what, people will be attracted to the Batwing more because it's a plane, you can fly it. But they
You
lied,
don't
obviously.
even fly it though.
So
You literally just click space
they
once and
lied.
that's it.
They lied. They straight up said that you could control and fly the Batwing. They pretty much lied about it. So
Jesus Christ.
the only reason why the Batmobile was not usable in this game was because of their cheap marketing tactics.
Oh God.
Like, you could have fixed so many things if you weren't greedy. You could have fixed so many things about this game if you weren't greedy and lazy at the same time. So that's unfortunate, but it is what it is. So shall we get to the scoring now?
Yeah,
I
might
think
as
we're
well.
done
Sorry
talking
if we
about this
were
segment.
going a bit off topic there, but we have to say it. Anyways,
Yeah.
scoring, sound design, and game score for Arkham Origins. Oh, this game is really not helping me speak, is it? All right. I guess I'll go first. Um, Given that I only specifically loved one soundtrack from the entire game, and given that I found everything else just painful to listen to, I am going to give this. You know what? Let's be honest. I'm gonna give this a 5.5. Because that 5.5 is purely because I enjoyed that what was it called?
Carol of the Bells.
Carol of the Bells. That's purely because I enjoyed that track. But yeah, that's my score.
For me, I'm probably just going to give it a 4.5.
4.5.
4.5 to be
Mhm.
honest. I mean, again, soundtrack was good. It wasn't completely remarkable, although it wasn't unremarkable either. Still had some points, but again, there's so much wrong with the sound design of the game that makes it just very boring to me. And again, the psychological element of just having boring sounds makes it a lot less interesting to play.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you on that. But yeah, that's our score. Ajmin, what about yourself?
I would probably give it a I would probably give it something a little bit higher than both of you. I would give it a 6.5. I really really enjoy the main theme of the game, honestly, and I think it's because of that I decided to give this a little bit of a higher score.
How much are you giving it,
The
Ajmin,
bugs,
again?
I mean,
Sorry,
not the bugs.
I can catch you.
I gave it a 6.5.
6.5. Got it.
Yeah, it's most like the main theme was great. Honestly, I loved it. If the rest of the points that I deducted from this section were because of the knockout smash issue and the other recycled sounds, but aside from that, the main theme, the main soundtrack, I loved it. Like the main theme of the soundtrack, that is, I loved it. So I gave it a 6.5.
Alrighty then, that leaves us with 5.5, 4.5, 6.5 divided by 3, giving us a total of
5.5
5.5 decks
out of 10 decks,
sound design and game score.
which brings us to a total of 23 decks out of 100.
What, are you serious?
Yeah.
23?
It's not looking good.
Oh, what? This is sad. This is so sad. But it is what it is. That's how it be.
Yeah,
That's how
we're
it
gonna be.
But yeah.
I think we're gonna be back soon discussing the main antagonist of the Arkham games, like the main villain of Origins itself, the one and only, the bugs.
Bugs.
Like Joker has got nothing on this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, and then
Joker has got nothing on this.
I'll say this
You
right
think Joker
now.
is a good villain? You should see the bugs.
I'll say this right now. If y'all think that we're gonna rate this anywhere above 5 decks for bugs, you can stop listening right now, honestly, because that's not happening. But yeah, I guess you'll find out what we're actually gonna score it if you hang on for a little longer. And yeah, see y'all with bugs.